Hey guys, it's Dad with Dad's Guide to Adulting. I hope you're doing well and having a great day. So you've decided you're going to buy your first car. It's very exciting, but how do you figure out what kind of car to buy? There is so much information out there that can be totally overwhelming. The purpose of this video is to try and help you structure your thoughts a little bit and figure out ways that you can make a good decision. So the first thing I think it's important, and this is something my friend Gil said very wisely over lunch one day, you never want to buy a car to impress anybody. Don't worry about your car reflecting your personality or sending a message. First thing you want to do when you buy your first car is focus on functionality. What do I need it for? If this is a car that you're buying to commute back and forth to work or to school, then mileage may be very important for you. You want to get good gas mileage, which means the number of miles you get per gallon of gasoline. If you're going to take it off-roading, or if you're going to work on a farm, or if you're in an area where you get a lot of snow and ice on the roads, then you may very well want a four-wheel drive. The difference between a four-wheel drive and a two-wheel drive is that obviously the engine power goes to all four wheels rather than just to two wheels. And if you're interested, there are two different kinds of four-wheel drive. One is four-wheel drive and one is all-wheel drive. It doesn't really make much difference in terms of purchasing the car, but all-wheel drive is when the car has the ability to split power from the transmission to both the front and rear axles and tires, which can be helpful on ice. And four-wheel drive is a little bit less advanced, but it's really good for handling rough terrain. You also want to think through how many passengers are you going to have in your car. Is it something you're going to be driving by yourself? Or is it something where you're going to need to be able to fit in other people? That can affect the size. Safety should always be your top priority. I guarantee you your parents and your family and your friends will be grateful if you make safety a top priority in buying the car. Airbags everywhere. Always look at the safety ratings for any vehicle before you buy it. The United States Department of Transportation has a website that provides good safety ratings on a wide variety of cars. We have the link to that website on our website. Allows you to put in data on a particular car that you may be thinking of buying, and it gives you good safety ratings. Never get one with the bad safety ratings. If you would prefer to actually see rankings, listings of cars, which can also be helpful because it can show you cars you may not have thought to think about, you can go to a couple of other websites, and those are also mentioned on our website. One of them is Kelley Blue Book, where it has a list of safety ratings for cars. Another factor you need to think through is how long are you going to have the car? Do you intend to hold on to it for just a short period or for a long period of time? If you're going to be buying this for a long period, then you want to buy a car that has a reputation for being durable, meaning that it lasts and does an awful lot of miles before things start to go bad. Resale value is also important. How much can you get for the car when you resell it to somebody else later? Particularly in the early stages of your life where you're trying to build wealth, you don't want to buy a car that loses a lot of its value right away. That necessarily leads into the next question is, do you get a new one or a used one? I think that it's tempting to buy a new car. It's so exciting that when you're buying your first car to get a brand new one, but it's really not a good idea. New cars lose a lot of their value, up to 10 or 20%, the minute you drive it off the lot. And so it's a good idea to get a good used car, ideally a certified used car that has some warranties with it, which we'll talk about in another video. Another thing you can do is go get customer satisfaction ratings. Go take a look and see what other owners say about the car. What do they like? What do they dislike? That information can often be very helpful for you as you're going through. Do keep in mind, however, sometimes the websites that contain that information contain a lot of venting. People are very grumpy and frustrated about a particular experience they had with their car, and they'll go on the website and make some negative comments. So try to look for trends. If you see something repeated multiple times, that's probably a good indication of a problem. Also be cautious because sometimes dealers will and car sellers will go on there and pump up the car and talk about how good it is. Again, try to look for trends and common comments. We have a couple of good websites that provide customer satisfaction ratings on our website, and feel free to go take a look at that. Also think about what kind of features you want. Do you need a sunroof? Do you need anti-lock braking? When you're doing that on your first car, it's very important to differentiate between needs and wants. Things you want may be more expensive than you need, and when you're trying to save money and build wealth, focus only on the things you need. Also look for recalls. A recall is something that happens when your manufacturer says they built the car improperly and there's something wrong, the same thing wrong with lots of different cars. They will issue a recall for that car, and then everybody who has one can bring it back in and get that fixed for free. Ideally, you don't want to buy a car that's had recalls on it. Also look for gasoline or electric. Do you care about the environment? Are you focused on that issue? If it's an important factor to you, you may want to consider an electric car. They are harder to find places to quote unquote gas up or power up, but they're getting better over time, which I think is a good thing for the environment and for everybody. Once you have considered all these factors and decided which ones are most important to you, you can then choose your car by looking at a number of different websites. There are places you can go for information online. You can do a Google search, finding cars for sale, and find numerous good websites. For example, Auto Trader, Kelley Blue Book, NADA, they all have good listings of cars for sale. That'll give you a sense for what's available locally too, and close to you, because you can plug in your zip code and see different options. If you decide you want to go to a dealership, that's also a good idea. You can go look at cars and see what they have and see which ones are things you find attractive or not. When you do that, it's a good idea to tell the salesperson you're not looking to buy a car yet. You're just trying to figure out which one to buy later. That way they don't spend too much time pressuring you and you're not wasting their time. But also they can be a source of good information. Make sure you understand that they're going to tell you mostly positive things about certain cars. Don't let them talk you into something you don't like. But it's perfectly fine to walk around and look at cars and get a sense for which ones you do and don't like. Couple quick things. When you're doing your research, take your time. I know this is a frustrating and process and you can be very impatient. Take your time. Get comfortable on how you do the searches. The second thing is, as with any research project, it's useless if you don't take good notes. When you're looking into certain aspects of a car, make notes for yourself on your computer, on a notepad, ideally in your computer and electronically, so you can pull it up and search it later for things you did and did not like about that particular car. That way, if you go back a week later and you're trying to remember what you did and didn't like, you've got it, and so you've got some good information. And the last thing to do is absolutely test drive the car first before you decide if it's one you like. You've got to get to behind the wheel of the car, see if you like it, and make sure it's comfortable for you in all respects before you buy it. So once you've done all that and chosen what kind of car you want to get, the next thing is finding one at a dealership near you for the right price. We'll be discussing that in our next video. Until then, remember, you got this.